Gentlemen, it is now 7 p.m. and we are starting the meeting on time. As per my desire, all meetings should start as timely as possible. We do have a quorum. The first item on the agenda is approving the minutes of October 2020. Any questions or for discussion?
I
Okay.
didn't see him.
Okay, can I have a second on the approval of minutes? Chris?
I second.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Daisy? I see Daisy nodding her head. Debbie? Debbie?
I didn't see it, but
Well, you had the minutes at the board meeting, so you should have seen them there. Okay, so anybody else? Okay, motion passes. Okay, tonight we have the New York City Department of Transportation, and I had requested that they appear before us, and I think Ms. Nivardo is there, right?
Yes.
Okay, could you unmute him?
Go ahead, Nivardo.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, members of the committee. Good morning, Chris. Or not good morning, I'm sorry, good afternoon. Good evening, rather. My name is Nivardo Lopez. I'm the Bronx Borough Commissioner for the New York City Department of Transportation. So I'm here on the invite of the chair to talk about speed cameras and New York City's speed camera program.
Very good. Do you have a presentation, Nivardo? Or
no, I don't. What I have, I'm just going to briefly, if possible, I just want to share my screen because I just want to direct something to, so just to show everyone just what, something that I think everyone should have handy. So if you can, am I able to share my screen? Or I'm a little bit, yeah.
I'm going to try to give it to you, the sharing, if I can do that. Let me just look if I can do that. Bear with me 1 second. That I cannot do for some reason.
Okay, that's okay. That's fine. I'll what I'll do is that after you know, the sort of question and answer period, I'll email to you and to the chair the links to our website. We have a frequently asked questions page that gives general information about the speed camera program, and then we have some reports that we could share.
Try it now. I'm sorry, Commissioner. Try it now. If you can share.
Okay, let's see. No, that didn't do it.
Because I press a button, it says that more than one person can participate.
Okay.
Multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Okay. Oh, okay, here we go. Why is it not? Okay, just give me 1 second, sorry. I'm a little bit thrown off by this particular virtual chat program, so just give me 1 second.
seems to be a learning curve for all of us.
Well, I think every time I think I figured them all out. I learned that there's another one. So I'm just going to have to add another program to this. So again, just bear with me for 1 more minute. Okay. Now let's see if it works. I'm not, for some odd reason, I am not able to share without restarting my computer, and I don't want to do that because it's going to take God knows how long. So,
That's okay.
Chris, so what I'll do is I'm going to put in the chat the link to our FAQ. So I'm going to share that to everybody. I'm going to do all right, that's, and so I'm just going to do a brief sort of run through of how the program is, the history of the program, and then sort of take the questions that you guys have. So originally, the New York City's automated enforcement program initially started as red light cameras. And those are probably the ones that up until a year ago, people were the most familiar with. Now, New York City doesn't have the authority to install and collect and enforce with automated tools such as cameras on its own. Every time we've announced an addition to the program, it has always been through an act of the state legislature in Albany. So the first such program was the city's red light camera program, and that law authorized red light cameras only at 150 locations throughout the city. So at any one given time, there are only 150 red light cameras. And to give you an idea of that, the scope, there are over 13,000 intersections that are signalized in New York City. So it's a very, very, very small percentage of locations that are equipped for red light cameras, because oftentimes you will see the setup, but not the camera, and an even smaller percentage that actually have active cameras at any given time. Since the law only allows us to do 150 at any given time, we will sometimes relocate the cameras from one location to another intersection based on, data and complaints. Then in 2012 or 2013, Albany gave the city authority to operate speed cameras at 20 locations citywide. And that went up and running by like 2013. And then those 20 cameras were expanded to 140 cameras in 2014. And that was really sort of the genesis of the modern automated camera enforcement program. 140 locations, not 140 cameras, 140 locations. And the original law that was passed in 2014 said that the cameras can only be in operation during school hours and during school days. So no weekends, no nights, no summers if the building was not in active use. And the camera had to be within a quarter mile of the entrance of the school. So, if a school, just to give you a random location, let's say Van Ness to Morris Park, let's say the entrance of the school was on Van Ness, but the building fronted Morris Park, the camera could only be on Van Ness. It could not be on the side of the building. It could not be on the street behind the building. It could only be on the street in front of the entrance where students went in and out, and only for a quarter mile in each direction. So at the time, we had a number of cameras that were fixed cameras, meaning the cameras were there year round. We didn't install 140 fixed locations because we always want to keep a certain amount of camera slots in reserve. So because we have mobile camera units, and that'll be, a DOT vehicle with equipment that sets up in a school zone area and will be there for, depending on the need, maybe a day, maybe a week. And that way we can cover more than just 140 locations. So it was sort of a split, heavier towards the fixed cameras, lighter towards the mobile. And then an important thing to note is that 2014 was also when we lowered the speed limit to 25 miles an hour. Now the camera issues a violation when a motorist is driving at 11 miles an hour over the speed limit. So if you are driving on a street that is 25, you're going to get a ticket at 36 miles or above. If you're on a street that was 30 miles an hour, it'll be 41 miles an hour where you get the ticket, and so on and so forth. That is how the law works. The purpose of the law was to stop excessive speeding. It's not meant and is not meant to catch anyone if you're like driving at 26 or 31 or what have you. It's 11 miles over the speed limit. If you're driving 11 miles over the speed limit that you're undeniably speeding, you're undeniably going much faster than the law intends. So then now we fast forward from 2014 to last year, 2019, which I don't know about you guys, but to me, last year feels like much longer than a year ago. So in July of 2019, the state legislature passed and the governor signed a law that expanded New York City's the authority New York City had to use automated enforcement for speeding. So the most obvious change was that the number of camera zones in schools went up from 140 to 750. So now we were allowed to have cameras at 750 locations, not 750 cameras, but cameras at 750 locations citywide. It also changed the area around the school. As I said before, the original law was a quarter mile from the entrance. Now it is a quarter mile radius around the school. So what you do is you would just sort of like take any school in that city and you would draw basically a circle quarter mile around the school. And anywhere in that quarter mile radius, we are now allowed to put a camera. So conceivably, a school zone could have multiple cameras. It could have a camera where the entrance is. It could have a camera on the side of the building, behind the building, all if it's within that quarter mile radius. And that goes for elementary schools, that goes for high schools, that goes for private schools, charter schools, and DOE schools. So that was the first change. The number increased and the area where we could put the cameras increased from just being from a quarter mile from the entrance to a quarter mile around the school building. The next change was hours of operations. Originally, cameras were only in operation during the school day and when school is in session. Now cameras are in operation year-round, Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. That is the purpose. Now, I know there's a bit of one question we get is, well, why are the cameras in operation when school is not in session? And I'll be perfectly honest. The purpose of the camera is to stop speeding throughout when it's in operation. Because speeding just doesn't happen when school is in session. Speeding happens 24/7. Oftentimes, it is more likely to be dangerous at night when there's less traffic on the road, when its visibility is not as good. You know, that's when speeding can be very dangerous. If you're going 11 or more over the speed limit, you're much more likely to injure yourself or injure someone else in a crash. So, you know, I'm not speaking, you know, for the administration or the agency when I say this, but it is my belief that ideally these cameras should be in operation 24/7, but we did not get that authority from the state. The state, we only can get what we can get, and that is what the state determined that New York City was going to get. 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., Monday to Friday. That's the rationale behind that. And again, nothing else has changed. It's 11 miles over the speed limit. A driver does not get any points on their license if they get a speeding ticket. And that's also something else that is in the law. And, you know, if you get one of these tickets, you're still able to appeal. You get a notice in the mail that shows you a photograph of where your vehicle was or where the vehicle was when the infraction was committed, the speed that the vehicle was going. And of course, you're still able to appeal that through the Department of Finance.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure the quarter mile thing because there's cameras now in Pelham Gardens area, like at least 5 of them, which doesn't make sense. There's one camera is on Astor and Eastchester, that doctor's office. Then there's a camera on Eastchester and practically Pelham Parkway North, not including Allerton Avenue, Waring Avenue, and probably another spot. And if I measure, there is no way that that's a quarter mile to the nearest school, unless there's a school that I'm not aware of.
Right, and I think for all those locations, what I can do is I can find out exactly what school those cameras are paired to and how far away they are. Like I said, it's not just DOE schools, charter schools are included in this, and also private schools.
In
Yeah.
layman's terms, how many blocks would you say is a quarter mile?
5 blocks.
Depends on the size of the block.
But if let me take, for example, Astor Avenue. Astor Avenue to Mace Avenue, that's 2 avenues, and then you have 3 blocks. That's, no matter what, if I measure, that's more than a quarter of a mile. I could grab my car. Allerton Avenue, I could understand because it's IS 144, so that might be within that radius or exactly at a quarter of a mile. But the Astor and the Eastchester ones, unless they are trying to catch speeders on Eastchester who are trying to avoid all that traffic, I would like to know what schools are there that's being impacted.
So yeah, so I think the next step is if you are concerned that we have cameras outside of the zones where we're allowed to, tell me I don't, and if you've sent this already, please, I ask apologies, if you could resend it to me, send me every camera that you are concerned about that is not in a location, and I will verify and get back to you this week.
Well, you gave me a clarification, so now what I'm going to do is I would literally measure the distance of these cameras. Like I said, I'm not in disagreements to the quarter mile with the Waring Avenue and the Allerton Avenue because they seem to encompass the 5 blocks, 6 block radius. I certainly am totally confused about Astor Avenue and Eastchester Road because unless, again, there might be a school because there used to be an old high school on Pelham Parkway South, Mother Cabrini, that turned into whatever. I thought that's not a school anymore.
That's actually
Okay.
a charter school.
It is?
Yeah, it's an ICANN charter school.
Okay, so that answers my question then. Okay. No need for you to do any studies. Okay, well, at least.
Well, I mean, Frano, it wouldn't hurt, again, if you are concerned about a couple of locations, send it to me. I will double check and get back to you this week, just to confirm what schools they're paired with.
No, I think what Debbie's saying might make sense. So that's
Well,
fine.
yes, if there's, again, because the schools are, it's not just DOE schools, charter schools and private schools, parochial schools. If it's a school, doesn't, I don't believe a UPK site counts. I'm going to double check that. But if it's a, K to 12 school, middle school, elementary school, high school, again, private, parochial, charter, or DOE, it is covered in this law.
Okay, so I'm assuming because there's a new camera on Gun Hill Road pointing north, or I should say west. I apologize. That was installed less than 8 months ago. I'm assuming that's meant for Holy Rosary then? Because it cannot be meant for IS 144 because it's not facing 144. It's in the opposite direction.
Well, it's not really a question of where the camera faces. It's where the camera is in that quarter mile zone.
No, but I understand, but the traffic is flowing west, not toward the school.
Well, no. So if again, the purpose is we are using this definition to try to catch to stop as much speeding as possible, right? So yes, obviously traffic towards the school, we want to stop that speeding, but we also want to stop speeding in the opposite direction if it's allowable.
All right. So if you could, you don't have to email it to me, just email this question and answer just in case other members of the community have questions. You did enlighten me on the quarter mile now to every school out there, so that answers my question. And any other questions from the
Concerning traffic cameras, yes. The one on Pelham Parkway South, just as you're approaching Williamsbridge Road. Yes, I know it falls under the cone of quarter mile for St. Catherine's, now that you're explaining that. But also, I want to know if that could somehow be moved, because when you're coming off Pelham Parkway Main Road, the ramp is right there. Pelham Parkway Main Road has a higher rate of speed allowance, for lack of a better word. And when you're coming on the service road, you're right there to the camera. So I feel that's sort of an entrapment at that one, similarly to how in CB10 over by the I-95 Bruckner, by I think it's Country Club and whatnot, how the traffic camera was before the light, and then you move the traffic camera past post light. So I was wondering if something could be done about moving the location of that speed camera.
So I would want that request from the come from the community board. If you want us to reevaluate the location of a camera, we can do that. But I think it'd be best if, you know, the community, that comes from the community board.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else from a committee wants to ask questions?
I got one quick question.
As far as traffic cameras, or
No, for now, traffic cameras, and then we'll,
Yeah, hold on. So I want to be clear on the terminology here, because this could get confusing. We have traffic cameras that monitor traffic. Those are called
Yes,
traffic cameras. They don't record. They just monitor traffic in real time. They don't issue violations. That's a traffic camera. What we're talking about are speed cameras, and it's very important that we use the correct terminology, because, you know, we operate many different cameras. Traffic cameras are one, red light cameras are another, speed cameras are a third, and we also operate bus lane cameras. These are cameras affixed to poles to monitor vehicular traffic and vehicular use in bus lanes. So they all serve different functions. The state law allows different ones at different locations at different times. So, you know, when I ask for clarification from, you know, our operations
speed
folks,
cameras, you're right.
I want to give the right, you know, I want to ask the right question. So if you're asking about the location of a speed camera, we're talking about speed cameras. If you're asking about the location of a red light camera, and et cetera. Sorry.
is there a common, is there a list of all speed camera spots, or?
No, we don't provide that publicly, because again, you know, we want the speed limit is enforced wherever we can enforce it via automation. It's also enforced by the police department, and it's also enforced by our mobile units. We are not going to put a fixed camera at all 750. We are going to leave ourselves a buffer to allow our mobile units to go to as many places as possible. So, you know, we don't advertise the location of the cameras. Obviously, people know where they are because they see the flash or they get a ticket. But, you know, we want people to obey the speed limit everywhere, not just where there's a camera, not just where there's a school, everywhere.
And it's not because I'm advocating for people to speed. I'm just making sure, you know, as you know, this is a working community. Believe me, we don't have rich people that are being driven by others, you know, and the economy being what the economy is, we don't, and again, I'm not making excuses for speeders out there.
No, I understand, but I think it's very important that folks, you know, and it's, you know, it's, trust me, I drive also. I understand it could be very easy if you're not watching the speedometer that, you know, you could creep up over the speed limit, creep up past the, you know, the 11 miles. You know, vehicles today drive very smoothly. You know, it used to, you know, just to give you an example, when I first was, my first car that I drove regularly was a Toyota Corolla. You know, when you went 40 miles an hour in that car, you felt it. You felt the car shake. You felt the car vibrate. You knew when you were going very fast. Now, a lot of vehicles, especially larger vehicles, you know, SUVs, larger sedans, sport utility vehicles. Well, that's what an SUV is. Sorry. They're built in such a way where you can go really fast. You can accelerate really quickly, and you won't feel it. So I understand. I mean, you know, the common complaint is that we're trying to use this to raise revenue, but the reality is, if I had my way, the ideal revenue we would raise from this program is zero. If no one speeds, if no one excessively speeds, we get no money.
Okay.
That's the way it should be.
Frano.
Yes, go ahead. Wait, Robert, 1 second.
Okay.
Anybody else from the committee wants to ask any questions? Okay, Robert, go ahead.
As far as speed cameras, no, I'm good on that, but there are other questions.
No, we're still with speed cameras. Okay, Robert, go ahead.
Questions for you, Navarro. I put up a link to when the Mayor de Blasio announces speed camera cars. Now, they require a different length of vision than the cameras that are mounted on the poles. Are these speed camera cars still being used? And do you know how much the length of vision is needed for the cars?
I believe we are using the same type of vehicles from 6 years ago, but I will have to double check on that and of course on what their visual range is.
I can tell you what it is, but I'm not going to. And second,
Well, I think well, then I'm sorry, Rod, then I don't understand your question. Are you asking if it's changed in 6 years?
no, I'm just asking if the Bronx DOT commissioner knows what the length of vision is needed for the cars. And obviously,
No, I don't know that off the
Okay.
top of my head. I mean, is this a question that you need the answer to, or are you just
No, I
trying
know
to
the
show
answer.
everybody? Oh, so then you're just trying to show everybody how smart you are.
I'm just showing,
Got it.
I had put up a link to when they were installed.
Okay.
Second one, Navarro.
Bob, don't worry. We all know you're a very, very smart person. We're not
Second,
doubting
Navarro. Trees, sometimes their branches come and cover the part of the speed camera. How often does the DOT prune the trees around speed cameras?
Well, Bob, as you know well, tree pruning is done by the Department of Parks and Recreation. The Department of Transportation does not touch trees. We often get complaints through 311 or the community boards or through the public saying that a stop sign, a traffic light, any signage is blocked by a tree. We communicate that to the Parks Department and we ask them to prune it, but it is complaint driven. The Parks Department has its own schedule to prune trees. That is their criteria. Whenever there is a tree that is blocking any type of DOT equipment, we go to the Parks Department and they will prune it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
So if you have locations, I would advise you and strongly encourage you to call them into 311.
Anybody else have any questions in reference to speed cameras? Okay. I want to make a personal comment and thank you for the paving of the Astor Avenue and all those finally it's taking place.
I apologize for the length of time it took. You know, we were supposed to have done this much earlier in the year. Because of COVID, operations stopped, but I did not forget, Frano. I know we had a conversation about this quite some time ago, and I made sure we kept our end of the bargain.
Even though it was a pain and a half from me and all my other coworkers getting into work today,
That's
I
okay.
appreciate the paving of Stillwell and Astor.
You know, one day I hope to be able to have the paving fairy where I could just go around with a magic wand and point it at a street and pave it immediately. But unfortunately, roadway repair is a very intense operation, but we do the best we can to do it as fast as possible.
Speaking of the repaving, there and other places, they have, well, I know they just did Stillwell, so I'm not even saying that yet, but there is a school there. But I know other places that were resurfaced and they didn't put those speed bumps back. When
we are doing that. We are behind schedule. So two reasons. One, we lost out on, again, we lost out several months of work because of COVID and the shutdown. We weren't doing any work pretty much from March till about June. So our speed hump and repaving program, which should start in March, is 4 months behind schedule. So there are locations that unfortunately we may not be able to get to before the end of this repaving season. Those will be next on the list for next year. But it is possible, that we may miss a couple before the year ends.
Hi, Commissioner. This is Lisa. I actually have a question about that as well, because there's the street Leidig Avenue between Paulding and Hone. We asked for that to be raised because it had like just natural bumps. I don't know what they're called. They weren't really speed bumps. They were like raised bumps, and it was on a hill that had been there for years. So they raised it during COVID, And it's still like, it hasn't been repaved, and other streets have been raised and repaved all around me. And that street is still like just raw. I don't know what the proper terminology is, but you know, when they like strip it down, it's been stripped down since like March.
Milled,
So, which street is this?
Leidig.
Lighting between Paulding and Hone. It's a hill.
The first
Okay.
part of the hill. It's before you come to the stop sign.
Yeah, it's like as you're going down the hill.
Lisa, I know you have my email address, but I'm going to just send it to you. If you can just email me that location, I will take a drive by it tomorrow and then follow up to see what's going on there. It's, you know, it
Awesome.
could be something else is going on. I don't know at the top of my head, but email me the location tomorrow morning. I will take a look myself personally, and then I will figure out what's going to happen. And then I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any
Back-
All
other,
right.
Back to back to Stillwell for a second. Is there any way, because with the school being right there, is there any way to expedite putting the speed bump back where
Yeah, let me, again, Debbie, if you could send me a quick reminder tomorrow morning, I'll go out there, take some photos, and I will speak to our speed hump unit and see how much time is there left and if we can get this on the schedule for this year.
Okay.
I'll go
And-
out there myself and take some photos, but if, you know, obviously, all things considered equal, I would prefer that we put them by the school where we can. So let me find out. Just shoot me a quick reminder. I'm gonna go out there tomorrow.
I know they milled Colden and those speed humps are not back yet.
Yeah, I know.
I know in CB10, Balcom was milled and repaved, and those speed bumps are not back yet. But
Yeah.
with Stillwell, you got the school right there.
Okay. Yeah, no, I definitely share your concern. All I could do is apologize because we are way behind schedule with this. But you know, I'll find out what's going on with Leidig and get back to you. That's Stillwell, sorry.
Thank you.
any other questions for the commissioner before I ask him one question? I will give people a chance.
Well, for Novato, I know it was brought up once before, and because the sign disappeared, it kind of got dropped and whatnot. But the sign has reappeared again over still by Stillwell and Pelham Parkway, the main road. We were asking for the removal of the no right turn sign, and then that sign magically disappeared. And then all of a sudden last week, the sign has reappeared. What is the reasoning? Why can a no right turn be made over there?
So when you say we requested, did you request that? Did the board request that?
We requested it as the board last year, and
Okay.
the sign disappeared. So we thought, okay, you guys removed it, and all was great. And now the sign's back. If I can share the screen, let me see if I could share the screen. It took a picture today.
And Chris, you don't have to answer this question, but if there's a tracking number associated with this request, if you could send it to me. Yeah, I see it. Yep.
Not that I remember.
Okay. All right, I'll have to investigate this because I'm not familiar with the details of this case. I vaguely remember seeing this request come in. And I remember that if we would have sent out an acknowledgement. Let me find out. I'll see if I could look it up tonight and I can get back to you, Debbie, to see, like, at the very least, find out the case number, send it to you, and then I could find out whether or not we made the determination to remove it. It's possible that that sign may have just been taken down by the DDC contractor and that we didn't take it down originally, but let me find out. I had to do a little more digging here.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else before I make one request? And I'll email to you if necessary.
Yes, please do.
Brano,
Yeah,
are you opening up to the public?
yeah, I'll open it, but let me make one request and I'll do it in writing too. There's a lot of speeding on Mace Avenue between Tiemann and the end of Mace by the Home Depot. And there's IS 144, as you know. how long does it take to do a study on a speed bump? Because you did say that preferences are by schools.
So there is a wait list. So it can, between the time that we do the evaluation, the site survey, and the installation, it could take up to 2 years.
Wow, okay.
But right now we still have all traffic studies on hold.
Okay,
So I don't have a timeline as to when it would start, but if you want us to sort of put it in the system so it's there and on record, send it to us. We will log it and then respond with an acknowledgement and an official tracking number. And then once the pause is lifted, we will let you know and then give you a better estimate as to how long it'll take.
Well, I'm gonna add something into it. I'm sorry, Frano.
Go
It
ahead.
is true because I live right over there in Mason Herring. Due to the fact that Allerton Avenue, it's bombarded with street lights and narrowing and everything else. People I find in Mace to be the easy way how they can make it fast from Boston Road all the way down to Gun Hill. On top of that, police uses Mace Avenue now because, like I said, Allerton Avenue, it's full of lights. And you can see police passes here. I mean, of course, when they are in emergency, but they pass here, forget about it. I mean, and they're doing drag racing, believe it or not. In the middle of the night, you can hear it.
yep,
Because the only speed bump that is over there is by PS, what is that, on Fish Avenue, a little bit further up. It's no other speed bumps anymore on Mace. And that's why these people are just flying, literally flying. Thank you.
okay. So Commissioner, I'll send you a request. I know that it really is detrimental to people that are walking more than the students, because it does happen more at night where the people are not going 25 or 35. They're going more like 45 probably. So I'll send it. Okay, Bob.
Nevada, did you see my email about the street lights? And now when I say street lights, I'm just talking about the white light.
Yeah, I see the email regarding Pelham Parkway. I saw that you also copied DDC.
Yeah.
So yes, I did see that. I'm speaking
Is
to
there
them
any
as
way
well.
to put some fire under Con Ed?
Yeah, we're going to talk. I think there's a call with DDC and Con Ed later this week. So yeah, we're on it. I could update you on that. But yeah, I did. Thanks for looping everybody in.
Thank you.
Okay, open to the rest of the members or whoever is attending the meeting. I know the
All right, I unfortunately have a hard stop at 8 o'clock. So
Okay, no
Okay,
problem.
let me get
Yeah.
these in then, Frano. Two items. Last time we
Well,
spoke,
shouldn't we let someone else ask a question who hasn't asked a question in fairness?
That's true.
fine.
Anybody else has a question? Okay,
All right,
Bob,
Bob, the floor is yours.
make it quick.
Okay.
please.
Last time you were at one of these meetings, we spoke about the crosswalk at Boston Road and Pelham Parkway South, where 3/4 of the crosswalk is now a bike lane.
Mhm.
Have you gotten any investigation on that? Are you getting?
I did look into that. I have to follow up, and I did get an answer on that. Let me follow up, and I could reply to you about what happened there.
And the
But you are, yes, go on.
The second item is at the corner of Leidig and Holland Avenue. There is now a parallel or perpendicular speed hump in the middle of the street by the crosswalk. There is also a piece of the speed hump underneath the first parking spot. I gather that parking spot will be taken away. And is this the new speed humps around crosswalks?
Yeah, so it's our left turn, it's our traffic calming for turns, primarily left turns, but in some
Right.
cases right turns. And the idea is we daylight one of the corners of the intersection. We use that sort of rubber bump. So when you are making the turn, that it's a more proper turn, it's a slower turn. Statistically, left turns are where a lot, if not, a majority of crashes and injuries to pedestrians happen. So that is part of that program.
So the idea is then to have the car roll over that and slow down.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner, and I'll follow up with the email on the speed bump. And I know that I had requested a study of bike lanes, but because of COVID, the bike lane usage on Allerton and I think Laconia, but I'll do it in writing for both, okay?
Sure. And the idea is to get more bike lanes so we can encourage more cycling, right?
Now the idea is to see, as you know, Allerton Avenue is my biggest pet peeve because honestly, I don't think I have 20 bikers a day using it.
So
And-
that means that's more bikes, right? I'm just messing with you, Fran.
I
I
know,
understand.
Because this is causing the traffic flow into Mace Avenue, part of it, as you know.
Understood. So yes, we'll let you know when the pause is lifted and when we could restart these requests.
Okay, I'll put it in writing just to make it official.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Thank
And I'll
you
make
for
sure
the
that's logged.
clarification.
Okay, great. And
Have a good
any other
night.
questions? Let me know.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. I hope hopefully one of these days we have these meetings in person again. It's strange that I can't see you guys in person.
I know.
I hope you're all doing well.
Thank
And
you,
I'll talk
Commissioner.
to you soon. All
We
right, thank you.
appreciate it.
Have a good night.
You
Bye-bye.
take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, Chris, let's go to item number 2, please.
Okay, Mr. Kislov, floor is yours.
Hi there. I appreciate your allowing me to speak tonight. Thank you.
Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Well, the reason for my attending this meeting is so that we could discuss a resolution that I've presented previously to the committee. This is an updated version, which I hope all of you have been able to see. And it basically calls for the remediation of 3 trestle locations within the Community Board 11 area. I can list those for you, but it is self-explanatory within the resolution.
Can you show to every one of us, even though you sent it, or you don't have a PowerPoint?
No, I don't have PowerPoint here, no, sir.
Okay. I know that Jackie Carter was involved with the original request, and Jackie, as you know, retired back about 8 months ago, right, Chris? So I'm not sure.
July, yes.
I'm not sure if anybody
year ago.
else has taken it over.
Yes, I believe there is a gentleman who's taken her place.
No, I understand that, but I'm not sure as to what actions have been taken. Can we follow up, Chris, with Jackie's replacement to see if any action was taken?
Jeremy has sent all the presentations that were done by Mr. Kislov to the replacement person. Nothing so far.
If I may, does everyone know the locations that we're talking about regarding this resolution?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
familiar with it.
Okay. Do you all have any questions for me regarding what I'm suggesting in this resolution?
Not to take the part of the Transit Authority or anybody else, you are aware of the budget crunch that the city of New York is facing, sir.
Without question.
And unfortunately, we're probably going to be at the bottom of the pit on that because there are a lot of budget priorities that probably will not be fulfilled within the next 2 years due to the reduction in tax income from fellow New Yorkers.
If Mr. Kislov is interested in also attributing this problem to being a public health issue, there might be increased viability to find some sort of funding stream to achieve this.
Mr. Amato, I think you raised an interesting point. Can I first address the chair's comment, and then I'd like to address yours?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I completely understand and I agree with you that we're right now in severe budgetary constraints. There's no question about that. It's clear, and I don't even have to look at any websites or reports or even the press to know that the MTA, and as part of that, the New York City Transit Authority is running an operational deficit. So clearly capital projects, many of them have been put on the shelf and will be for a period of time. The purpose of this resolution is to really make a statement by this committee and by the community board that these facilities, which are within our community, are important. And as Mr. Amato raised, part of the issue that's impacting our residents is a potential health threat. I've raised the health issue with the New York City Department of Health before, and their response to me is that they have no jurisdiction over MTA facilities. So I took my hat in my hand and I decided that, at least for the time being, the best way to pursue this would be for the committee to embrace what's proposed, for the board to then do so, and then for us to share our concerns with our elected officials and send that collective message to the MTA and the New York City Transit Authority. The health issues are not unimportant. There is one illness, and I can't remember the correct pronunciation of it. It's something like halitosis, but I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, where if you breathe in very small particulates, there can be health effects. And one of the concerns that I had was that these are areas where parents with very young children walk underneath them with regularity. And I don't think we want to put our families at risk of any potential illness whatsoever. But in addition to that, the current condition, I think you'd all agree, if you've seen these facilities recently, is that they are essentially dilapidated. There's broken pieces of the walls falling down. There are broken pieces of the column encasements that are literally cracking and breaking of their own gravity. The graffiti issue is not something new to us. It's been discussed and discussed. The issues are really quite clear. The pigeon issue has been discussed ad nauseum. And what I tried to do with this resolution is simplify it by identifying the specific locations that are shared by each of these facilities and the commonality for their need of comprehensive remediation.
While your resolution has merit, again, due to budget constraints, I don't know how much weight this would give to the transit authority. Again, there's a lot of things that are going on the back burner, including the Metro North extension to Grand Central, which really has an impact to the East Bronx and New Rochelle residents that we've been fighting for over 10 years. I am not against your resolution, sir, but the priority, I don't know whether it will be where it's supposed to be.
Well, sir, I certainly respect that. The Metro North reconstruction projects are extremely important, as are a number of projects that are even potentially regionally impactful. I've been working on this particular issue for approximately 15 years. And I suppose it's my fault, but to be quite honest with you, I haven't gotten very far. I don't mean for the board to say that this is a higher priority than a mass transit operational situation that would impact our residents in terms of their commutes. I think that it's a reasonable statement to make by both this committee and by the board. Not that this is more important, but it is important. Important enough for Community Board 11 to transmit a request for necessary work to be done on these facilities. And I would also welcome you, Mr. Chairman, and the members of your committee to join me on a tour of these 3 locations whenever that might be available to your schedules. I'd be delighted to be a part of such a tour.
Again, I'm not against the resolution, and I'll open it to the rest of the committee members. I don't think I believe some of these items are already at the MTA. I think my personal recommendation is that we follow up with Jackie Carter's replacement to see if any action has been taken thus far or is potential action being taken before it goes before a full board. I am a very open-minded person, and whatever the committee recommends will be more than happy to pursue. But to be honest with you, I think the first step is to go to Jackie Carter's replacement, present this, and say what has happened on some of these items. Because I do recall your presentation before, and these are some, if not all, that were there before.
Well, I think you make a good point, except that there is a pending project that the MTA had assigned the New York City Transit Authority, which was already approved with capital to proceed. The difficulty is that that particular project only called for the repainting of the steel fascia, which is across the railroad bridge, and the repainting of the columns, which you probably notice have been partially painted black and marked with white X's, and also the replacement of column encasements. My understanding was that this project was to include 30 facilities, including the 3 that are highlighted in this resolution. So the point of this resolution was to suggest additional work to be considered as part of that contract. So I don't have any doubt that Ms. Carter's successor is aware of the project itself. And also, as you state, because of the budgetary constraints and especially the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm sure that capital projects, many of them have been either halted or severely delayed. I'm sure there's no doubt of that. However, I don't think that the board's passage of this or consideration of this resolution and transmitting it to the TA is something that would be in any way harmful to our community, and I don't think threatens the MTA's or the transit authorities' decision-making in terms of what their priorities are. It's a statement of need requesting remediation of these 3 facilities.
I think also we should get on some of the elected officials to get something done about the pigeons, like those spikes, because I know in Riverdale, their overpasses, they have spikes. In other areas, they got spikes.
And also netting.
And yes, spikes and netting. You know.
Well, if I can respond to that, the resolution calls for a pigeon mitigation system to be installed.
I think this is an item that should have gone to the budgetary committee, which had a meeting last month. Am I right, Daisy?
Why is that, sir?
Because this is a budget priority. I think it should fall within budget priorities.
Lisa, let me know if I'm incorrect in this, but we've already made our decisions for this year as far as budget priorities. Or are we still collecting those? I think we did.
Yeah, I think the deadline passed, but we can put it on, it could go on for next year.
Could we use the language, can I just say, can we use the language that Greg is providing us as far as a resolution for us to put some kind of a letter together or an email that we can send to the elected officials. Because this is going on the third month that we're talking about this. And I believe it's been over a month that we have contacted the MTA about this as well without a response. So, I mean, well over.
I agree. I think it's been way more than 3 months. I feel like we've been talking about this for quite some time.
So Mr. Kisloff is looking for a resolution from us. Do you guys have any objection to this?
Can I just make a point, if I may? Forgive me.
No objection from me.
May I make a point if I could?
Go ahead.
This process really began in its latest iteration. I'm not talking about this current resolution, because at the last meeting you asked me to come back and submit a shorter resolution, which I think I did, which was more bulleted and more of an outline. But with all due respect, I wish to remind the committee that when I addressed the committee with this issue, when I brought it to the board's attention, I did so in, I believe, in February of 2019. And when I did that, I submitted not only a resolution, but I submitted 200 photos of the 3 collective areas. And as many of you might remember, I made a presentation to the board.
Mr. Kisloff, I'm sorry to interrupt.
I mean,
Yes,
to the
he is.
committee, forgive me.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but yes, that is true. You did bring this up over a year ago. It was addressed. Then we all got quiet on it. Nothing happened. We were waiting on the MTA. Then it was resurrected this year. But it's been on our agenda. It appears every month since we started in September.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that, Mr. Rodriguez, but I'm very glad to hear it.
So
my hope was that if the committee were to pass the resolution and send it on to the board for its consideration, my suggestions to Mr. Kirka and to Mr. Warnicki were just that after the board had made this statement, it was absolutely fitting and appropriate that we seek support from our elected officials, not only with state jurisdiction, but from the city council as well. So I completely agree with you.
All right, so.
Renato, can I
Yes,
say
sir.
something?
Go ahead.
As a former vice chair of Community Board 8's Traffic and Transportation Committee, so during this so-called pigeon problem, okay, the board had nothing to do with it. It was a MTA board member of Community Board 8 that took care of the problem, number one. Number two, we only dealt with MTA bus, which was Jackie Carter. The subways are under the MTA, which is a state agency, okay? Also, as far as adding items to budget negotiations, having been at budget negotiations one year with Jeremy, the district manager, board chair, or whoever's the representative can add items at budget negotiations. They could just say, I have another item that's not on the list, as I did one year. Okay, I'm just going to give you all that information.
Mr. Press, I appreciate that very much. The one point I need to make is really a mea culpa on my part, and that is that I have never submitted a budgeted proposal to this committee for consideration. I understand fully that what is requested in this resolution would obviously require considerable additional funding. But I have never been asked by the committee to present a budget for their consideration and for this to be considered a budget item. It's certainly feasible that in the future it could be considered just as that. What I was trying to do with this resolution was to ask the MTA and its subsidiary, the New York City Transit Authority, which is again a subsidiary of the MTA, to accept this resolution and then to look into the feasibility of adding this work, not only potentially to just these 3 facilities, but it's my understanding that overall in their project, they include 30 such facilities as pending work to be done. So I don't disagree with you that it's a potential budgetary listing item, but I'd like to get the committee and the board on the same page and ask the MTA to agree conceptually with the need to upgrade these facilities, because if you've looked at them closely recently, they're really quite dilapidated.
Instead of sending it to the board, okay? Yeah. Mr. Kisloff, I recommend to the committee that we go back to Jackie Carter's replacement and see where we stand before we go to the board. Does the committee have any objections to this?
Brano, one more thing, if I might. The Westchester Square Station was cleaned by Senator Biaggi last year. Okay, just so you know, again, it's something that the state legislator needs to take care of. It's a state issue. The MTA is a state agency. It's not a city agency. Thank you.
Okay.
Which is why I say we need to get on to the elected officials about this.
It's Mr. Press, it's a mix. It's state, city, and partially private. It's a mix of all of them.
Okay, I honestly think we spend more than enough time on this. I think the right way to do it is go, I'm not saying don't share it with our state senator and our assemblywoman, that's fine, but that we go to the original source that we had and see where we stand. Then we go to the board if necessary. Anybody else has any input?
All I know is that you go to one person, they say, oh, go to this one. You go to the next one, they say, go to this one. It's everybody saying it, it's not my job type of thing.
Okay.
I think I would agree with that. And I think also that the elected officials that you speak of, the state assemblywoman and the state senator, would take more of a notice to this resolution if it were passed by this committee and considered by the full board.
Well, again,
I say we bring it to the full board already, because if we're waiting for, we were waiting for Jackie Carter's response, it didn't happen. We're waiting for Jackie Carter's replacement response, and it hasn't happened. I
Debbie,
think it needs to be brought
you're becoming like Sandy Unger. Hold on just a second. A response from Jackie Carter was given a long time ago and said that something's going to come in the works and they're going to start in the program. What happened once Jackie Carter retired, I don't know. Either she gave it to somebody else, or maybe we have to remind them again. If Jeremy's going to write an email forwarding whatever we did to Jackie Carter to this new guy, and we get a response that something's it's in the works, then what's the point of bringing to the whole board and the whole elected officials?
But Chris, I thought that's what we did already, that we already contacted the replacement.
It was sent the email to the replacement, so let's emphasize it again.
Got it.
I mean, if it's in the works, then what's the point bring it up to the board, because they're going to say it's already in the works.
Mr. Kisloff, I again recommend that we go to that party, and then if necessary, bring it at the I guess December board meeting. Do we have a board meeting in December? No, we don't, right?
Not December. Usually we don't have meetings in December, but it's up to you if you're chair.
No, okay. Well, no, I'm talking about board meeting. At this point, honestly, I don't see what a resolution would do just because the board is going to vote on it. If my committee members agree or disagree, please state so.
I think we should reconnect again with the replacement, but I think we should put some elected officials on notice that this exchange has been going on for quite a while. To Debbie's point.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Either that or we follow up, give it a set amount of time to hear a response. If we don't hear a response, then we go to the elected officials, one or the other.
What do you think, Christian?
I agree with Daisy.
Let me
I
hear
agree with
Christian as
Daisy.
well. Mr. Amato.
I agree with Daisy.
Okay, so we all are really in agreement that at this point, we will not bring it to the board, but doesn't mean that we are sitting on this and that we do go back to the replacement as well as, might as well share it with the elected officials, Chris. Okay,
I
Mr.
wouldn't have a problem, but like I say, they're going to ask the same question. What has been done? What is the response from MTA? The last response from Jackie Carter was that it's going to be implemented. All these things that were proposed from Mr. Kisloff supposed to be implemented this year. Well, this year it's apocalypse.
And that's fine. So if they got to repeat what she said, then they repeat
Exactly.
it.
No,
So that's what I'm saying.
Right, that's the
Yeah.
point. The point is we're letting the elected officials know that we put in this request with the MTA and it's still being processed and we haven't heard back. So we're just essentially putting them on notice. We're not asking them to do anything yet. This is just like an FYI.
Okay, FYI, we'll respond, we'll send to them, but it's going to be like a carousel. Again, they're going to say, what was the response from MTA? So once we get something from the MTA, and if we get kind of something like a neglected kind of a thing or a response that is kind of no essence on it, then we can forward it to the elected officials.
And then if it's a carousel, then we do a resolution and we bring it to the board and make a bigger fuss.
Then do it now. Do the resolution now, then we make it de facto.
The committee has already decided, I believe, that we will take the next steps, which are reconnect with MTA, see what they have to say, put the elected on notice.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Chair, do me a
Yes.
favor.
Yeah,
Send us a requested email so we can forward it from the chair or from the committee itself. Then we can forward it to the new replacement from Jackie Carter and see what's going to be a response.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll do it in the morning.
Sure.
All right, anything
Also
else? Okay, Mr. Gizmo, that's the solution at this point.
Okay.
I'd like to thank the chair and the assistant district manager and the members of the committee for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you and good night. Okay, Chris, let's go next item, please. Because,
Next item is old items.
okay. Does anybody have any old items? And we're beyond 8 o'clock, so I usually try to end by 8.
Hello? Yeah. I know it's basically under the Pelham Parkway construction project, but I just do want to bring up the old business of when are they going to finish fixing the bus lane on the main road westbound? Because it's ridiculous the way that they have left that.
Why don't you try and attend one of those meetings? Pelham Parkway reconstruction.
If I got notice of it, I would.
Well, Debbie's always been in our calendar. So if you look at the calendar, it's right there.
Chris?
They said that because they were doing some areas that have long been since finished, that they were waiting for those things to be completed. Those other areas that they said that they were waiting to be completed, like I said, are done, but yet they did not do the bus lane.
Well, you can ask the question if you can come to the.
Chris,
Yes, sir.
Being a member of the committee, they're not finished with the reconstruction of the roadway. That's why the bus lane hasn't been put in.
I'm right aware of it. Thank you, Robert. So there's the answer, Deb.
They've basically done with the main roadway.
That's a
Why-
key word, basically. You just said basically.
Yeah, if they put the bus lane in, they would be done.
There's construction on the other side of White Plains Road right now between White Plains and Boston. They've
Hey.
bought the whole road.
There you go.
So why is the bus lane not done from Stillwell to Eastchester, from Eastchester to
Because
Williams?
Deb, I mean, come on.
Williams
You know,
Bridge.
Deb,
I mean,
listen.
Debbie, I'm sorry, but like, can you, it's already way after 8 o'clock and this is a discussion for a different committee, not for this one. So can you just go to that committee and ask them?
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, any others? Because we really are at 8:11 and unless there's any other business. New business.
Okay, as far as new business then, I wanted brought to the attention of MTA that the Morris Park train station designation sign by the Rainbow Stairs has been stolen about a couple of weeks ago.
Debbie, you cut off there. Can you just say that again? I'm sorry.
The Morris Park destination sign, the Morris Park train station destination sign over at the Rainbow Stairs has been stolen.
By Rainbow Diner?
The
No, no.
Rainbow
She's talking
Stairs.
about the steps that
Rainbow
go
Stairs.
down. Yeah.
Rainbow Stairs.
At
It's-
the base of Woodmaston Street.
Woodmanstein, yes.
Yes, correct.
The sign has been stolen, so I would like it to be brought to the attention of the MTA.
Email me that.
I filed it on 311, Debbie. I can send you guys the claim number if you need that.
Please CC me, Christian,
Sure.
so I can be aware of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian.
But listen, Christian, I think rather you should do 511 because 311 has nothing to do with MTA. I don't think that they can cross each other. I think
Okay.
511 will be the perfect.
I'm happy to submit it there if that makes things easier.
Please CC me on it and let me know.
Sure, sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
I have one quick thing. Chris, do you know if anything, I just don't want to be duplicative, but do you know if anything has been submitted for the traffic light at the corner of Morris Park and Paulding that's out? Because not the whole light, but just the red light, like the light bulb is out?
Not that I'm aware of it. So I'm gonna put it tomorrow. I'm gonna forward it to DOT. Paulding,
Okay.
Paulding and Morris Park, you say?
Paulding and Morris Park. Yeah, there's two street lights there, but one of the street lights, the red light, does not work. The other lights work. It's just the red light.
Okay. Go in which direction? So at least I can.
If you're going, I don't know what direction that is. If you're going towards Van Nest.
So going east. I mean, going west. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So the red light. The
It's
control
right at
light-
the corner
control-
where, you know, the corner where the dry cleaners is. The
Yeah,
dry
Paulding,
cleaners on
you
Morris
say-
Park, that light.
Right. I know. Calls it dry clean or whatever it's called. Where is the supermarket?
Yes, at the supermarket.
Okay.
if
So,
you're going-
the control.
If you're going across Morris Park, so you're on Paulding Avenue and you're at the red light to cross over Morris Park.
Oh, okay. So you are on Paulding going south.
Whatever direction that is, you're going at another
Correct.
direction.
Going south.
You're going towards Van Nest.
Okay. So Paulding, not Morris Park, because I thought it was Morris Park. Paulding.
No. It's on Paulding.
Okay. So Paulding, the traffic light, the red functioning light doesn't work.
Correct.
Okay, I got it.
Thank you, Chris.
Anytime.
Anything else from anybody else?
Is that going east or west?
Going south.
South, thank you.
Anybody else? I see that Mariel de la Cruz is here. Any updates from the city controller since you're on?
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry. No, I've just been going from meeting to meeting. I'm gonna try to make more of an effort to attend the different committee meetings as best as I can, because I still kind of cover 5 community boards. And everything, things happen. There's things happening every single night. But if y'all have questions for me, or if we can be helpful, I know I heard some things that were related to more state issues, and I know that it's not just state, but if there's any way that you think we can advocate or find out any information, you can always let me know directly. Because I heard the concerns that you all have with the MTA spaces, and again, some boards have had that fix happen years ago. I know that's been a complaint. One of my coworkers lives in the area. He has a similar complaint about that space. But yeah, if anyone has any questions for me, I'll be here for a little bit.
Okay, good. So we have an ally that we could, depending on the response, we could copy Mariel, okay?
And always follow up with me. I tell folks, because sometimes I get some responses, some other times I don't get it as quickly as I would want them, but always feel free to follow up. Everyone has my contact. Thank
you. Anything else for new business? Otherwise, there's a Kate showing, and we haven't heard from Kate. Anything in that you want to ask or say?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
So you're, I guess, community member just attending the meeting?
Indeed.
Well, welcome, and we appreciate community presentation here anytime, okay?
Thank
All
you.
right, anything else? Okay, the meeting is considered adjourned at 8:16, and I thank everybody for spending an hour plus in this meeting and helping your communities out there. Thank you, and have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.